known when I be on the mic. I'm internationally known, yo. I'm internationally known when I be on the mic. So all hail the honorable. I'm internationally known when I be on the mic. I'm internationally known, yo. I'm internationally known when I be on the mic. So all hail the honorable. I'm internationally known when I be on the mic. I'm internationally known.
Welcome to episode 16, people. The Being Neo podcast. Listen, first off, for you that are on Spotify right now, you can see the video. For those of you on YouTube, you can see the video. But for everyone that is listening to this podcast on Apple and iTunes and Google and like all the other places that you listen to your podcast, you can't see the video. But I have a guest in person, people, here in the flesh. Everybody, welcome Jez. Jez, how are you?
I'm doing great, pal.
So I'm supposed to look in the camera, but it's weird because like we're supposed to have conversation. But like,
Right.
and I guess this is why everyone has like the multiple microphones on their podcast and thing. We're just in the apartment, people. So this is just going to be us talking. I'm looking at the computer to make sure it's doing what it's supposed to do. But all right. So listen, Jez, I don't ever have guests on. You know why I don't ever have guests on? Well, I did have one guest on. Is it episode 10, 12? This guy, he hits me up because he listened to one of my episodes about the webcam model and my dating of the webcam model. And he had this profound experience that he thought he wanted to share with the viewers and listeners. And so I was like, I mean, cool. You want to talk about your webcam model experience? Let's do it. Now, as I'm talking to this guy, the more and more, as I'm unpacking things, it's like, you met her yesterday. You've known her for 3 days. And you're in love with her now, and you think talking to me is going to help you with this? You got problems, bro.
Right.
All of that said, this is not that episode. We're not going there. I'm typically, you guys know this because I talk about this all the time. Me and my peace is important. And so when I'm out in the street, I typically don't talk to anybody. Like, no fucking body. I'm not even joking. And if I don't have my within arm's reach, always music or headphones on, I'm really not trying to fucking talk to. And if that doesn't help, Logan usually helps me by keeping some distance. In either case, I'm sitting down, about to go to the gym, and I'm having a cup of coffee, and I'm listening to this dude try to order coffee, and he orders a latte. Like, this is the punchline. You ready? With no milk. They said, what kind of milk? He said, no milk. You want a latte? Yes, no milk. And I'm thinking, I think this brother needs some help. So I was like, let me see if I can help. So I'm gonna speak English. And now everyone around me is looking at me like I'm fucking weird because I'm speaking English and I'm speaking Spanish and they see me every day. They don't know I speak English. And now whatever. Long story short is he got a drink. The best part after this, I try to help him. I'm the nice guy. And then they're looking at me like, oh, well, he's black, so you must know him. I'm like, the fuck does that mean? And so they're expecting me to pay for his drink because homeboy leaves without paying for it. And I'm like, fuck if I'm stupid. Like, okay, so fast forward, obviously it worked out. He came back and paid for his coffee. He did come back though. You see me out in the street, don't think I'm buying your coffee. That's just not happening. But all that said, my question to you, Jez, you've been here for how long? You've been here in Colombia for how long?
I would say about almost 2 months.
2 months. This is your first, second, third? I mean, so
This is probably my fourth time.
fourth time in Colombia. Listen, people, so this is what I want you to say. If you are coming to a Spanish-speaking country or any country where you do not speak the language and you are trying to order a latte with no milk, he's been here a few times and that was still the case.
Right.
So go easy on yourself. Don't take it that hard.
Right. It takes, I think it's more so about you're so focused on trying to communicate because you're not in a comfortable position to where you kind of stop thinking about like logical things. And in this particular case, this is a great coffee shop, but they don't have milk substitutes. So I'm ordering a lot.
How this is, every once in a while we have technical issues. This one was me running out of 2 tetrabytes of space. So, that said, we were just talking about the milk thing and why it's okay that you can be in another country where that is not your primary language and mess up. So he's trying to make things. This is the Being Neo podcast. We don't care about that shit. So that said, that's what you were talking about. So the recap is the reason why was because this cafe it's an okay coffee shop. It's not Pergamino. They don't have milk alternatives, and so he's talking about it as a language thing. But the reality is, when you're doing something that you're not accustomed to doing, it makes you nervous. Like talking to a hot girl. You're not used to talking to hot girls, and you have a hot girl talk to you. You don't know what the fuck to say. I get that. I understand that. That's why I tell people to talk to ugly people on a regular basis. I'm serious. If you want to practice talking to a hot girl, you just talk to an ugly girl. Because the conversation is going to be the same. The only difference is that you're going to feel more confident talking to the pretty girl after you've talked to a bunch of ugly girls because of the fact that the conversation is the same. And then you can focus less on the fact that she's hot and more on the fact of what it is that you like to say.
I agree with that.
That's mental for you. All right, so guys, I hate to interrupt this episode, but this is huge news from our sponsor, SoFi Bank. And so, SoFi Bank, you're probably asking yourself, what is SoFi Bank? Do you see this backdrop behind me? I am standing in Medellin, Colombia. Now, I've been traveling for the last 5 years, but the first year of travel, I spent almost 5 figures in international transaction fees. It did not matter if I was at dinner, at an ATM, anywhere. It did not matter. If I used my card and I was out of the country, I was charged an international transaction fee. Until I met SoFi Bank. There's 0 international transaction fees with SoFi Bank. And you may be thinking, because you travel a lot, you're watching this channel, okay, cool, you should sign up for SoFi Bank. And you should. But for everyone else that maybe hasn't left the country and you're watching this channel for inspiration, which don't watch this channel for inspiration, we're about to grind. Make the plan to get out of the country. But SoFi Bank will pay you right now. It's limited, so click the link. $25. $25. For what? Opening a checking account, a savings account, and depositing $50. So if you open up a checking and a savings account and you deposit $50, they're going to pay you $25 as a thank you for opening your account. Now, I'm saying thank you because they are sponsoring us, which means you are sponsoring us by doing that. So please feel free. Click the link in the description. Get your $25. Now, I want to give you a pro tip. When you open up the account, they're going to give you one option, the only option that you will get the first and only time when you're opening the account is to add the $50 with your debit card. Now, I'm sure you have a current debit card at your current bank. As long as you fund your account with that $50 with that instant debit card, the $50 will arrive in your new SoFi account instantly. And by doing that, you can then use the instant virtual card that they give you in Apple Pay, Google Pay, and whatever tap to pay application that you typically use so that you don't lose access to your $50. That's right. That means you get to open up the account, get the free $25, and the whole time you keep your $50. That's a win-win situation. Right now, if you do choose to do an ACH, that's perfectly fine, but you need to still open the account with $50, do the ACH transaction, and when the money is available, SoFi within 7 business days will credit you the $25 for doing so. All of that said, guys, again, this sponsors us, Neo's Poly, the Being Neo podcast, me, and everything that I'm doing here on the channel. It helps us out a great deal. SoFi is one of the best sponsors we've had in terms of our relationship, in terms of my customer service as a client of SoFi Bank. It's really incredible. It's one of the best banks I've ever dealt with. So all of that said, thanks for helping out the show. Thanks for helping out the podcast. Thank you. We appreciate you so much. Click the link in the description. Let's jump back into the episode for you. All right. So sorry. A few times in Colombia, you've been here for 2 months now. You were messing up the milk thing because of that. Nervous, uncomfortable. I apologize.
I think that's to sum up. I think once the breakdown with them not having milk took place, it's more language that needs to be known. So you go from understanding, like, ideally you walk up to the stand and your mindset is, okay, let me figure out what I want. I can say quiero, what I want. But it breaks down when they're telling you we don't have this, and they're using Spanish to communicate that to you. But luckily, I had someone in the vicinity, which seems crazy because I'd say every time I've been in a language jam, there's always like some random person nearby that speaks English. But in Colombia, most people don't speak English, or at least not well. So that's something I've noticed. It's almost like the universe is always providing the things that I need when I'm here.
All right, that's cool. Have you been to other countries that speak Spanish primarily?
Spain, but in Spain you're gonna have, I mean, Spain, Mexico.
But I feel like so Spain is different because in Europe, my experience have been not only English but other languages. Like in Spain, they speak multiple languages. Now, Spanish people from Spain speak Spanish, but it's so culturally diverse that they speak a lot of other.
Yeah,
Mexico, there's so many Americans and still a lot of tourists that I feel like even the Mexicans speak a little bit more English than they do here in Colombia.
yeah.
Colombia being Colombia, I want to say Medellin is a little bit more in terms of people speaking English.
Yeah.
Or no, in terms of speaking Spanish and not speaking alternatives. No, that's a lie.
You can live an English life here if you're in.
Yeah, I feel like I'm sitting here comparing it to like Bogota.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's more English speaking here in Medellin than in Bogota.
You can live an English speaking life here, which people do. People should. Yes, which is sad.
Not what I would recommend.
It's sad because you won't be able to connect with people if you don't pick up the language.
Now, for those of you that are watching the video, you realize that I lit a blunt. For those of you watching the video, you also realize this is not something new. However, I have no problems being high and conducting interviews, having conversations, because I wake up and I smoke, I work and I smoke, I live my life, I go to the gym, and I'm always high. That said, I'm going to ask you the question because your highness is not the same as mine, and this video will be out there for forever.
Right.
So would you like to partake?
Yeah, I'll partake.
Now, if things go south in this episode, people, you heard me ask, you heard him say yes, so just remember.
If I say anything that gets me in trouble, I'll just say.
No, there will be nothing that gets anyone in trouble in the Being Neo podcast because it's new, right? So, like, it doesn't really matter what he said. It was the first time he ever said it.
It's an American mindset.
It is. Yeah. All right. So, American mindset. I feel like you brought that up, so we should probably dive into that. So, you know what just happened recently? And I'm asking you if you know what just happened recently. I do not believe in speaking about those things on my podcast. So if you think about today's date, which is November the 15th, okay, in America, something just happened. That's all I'm going to say because I don't talk about that shit on the podcast. But it does, however, bring up the fact that people in America have a different outlook, mindset, and perspective on things. Yes. If you'd like to discuss that, we could talk about that.
Yeah.
But the rest of it, which he knows what I'm talking about, we don't talk about.
I would say the first thing I noticed here is the difference in terms of having a sense of urgency.
Or you mean the lack of?
Yeah, there's a lack of sense of urgency here. And even when it comes down to like meeting up with chicks, it's like, I've had chicks like stop me in the street, like give me their number, and take forever to set up an appointment or date to meet. And then their mindset is just casual. Now, sometimes they may have reasons. I remember you were telling me how a lot of people have instability. But yeah. But
Colombia is like the if you look up instability in the dictionary, Colombia will probably be in the flag for sure, at least. But yeah.
The difference is it's like, let's say I beat a chick in the States and we make arrangements to meet out. If for some reason the plans are canceled at the last minute or whatever, no matter what, like we're dead to each other. In a sense, like it's just not something that's ordinary that you do. Like maybe, an excuse can come up.
Oh, I guess that's true. I actually haven't thought about that. I haven't dated anyone in America so long that's true. Like oh, damn.
Don't get me wrong. I've had instances where a girl has canceled on me at the last minute, but we never talked again after that. Like it could be.
It's always like you blew it off.
Yeah, was it? Yeah. It's taken personally. Here, it really does. It's not. I had to learn. Like, you know what? It's really not that bad. Like she literally just her life is chaos, and so
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. In America, like I'm insulted. Like, what do you mean? Like, or I've had instances where I make plans with a girl, and you just don't hear from her, and then like 2-3 days later, they'll hit you up, and then in the States, you're like, but here you start to learn that it's not personal or whatever. It's just how our culture is.
We're about to pull the wool back. Let's talk about this. Man. So that's true. And it's not true.
Yep. That's interesting.
See what happens at smoking, and we're just gonna stop with those thoughts. No, the reason I say it's true but it's not true is because I literally right now, if you guys haven't been following along, on the other channel, strictly videos, you guys gotta tap into Neo's Poly. It's me, one man, two beautiful women, a world filled with adventures. It's amazing, but the reality is that I was just having this conversation with my producer about one of the women. So there's a woman, her name's not important. One of the first women I met, like legitimate for the project. And she had great questions, really good energy. I mean, it was a really good time. And then afterwards, like, she wasn't returning messages timely, like just the kind of things for me that I'm still like, eh. She just messaged me last night, was like, hey, I wanted to see you. I've been wanting to see you. And then she went down this list of, well, my phone, this, I'm out of this. And I'm just like, and so Tatiana's my ex. If you didn't know this, click over, watch the videos. But Tatiana was like, no, Neo, you're not bringing her back in. And I'm like, why not? And she's like, because she already showed you that she doesn't value your time. And I'm like, nobody in Colombia values my time. They don't have the urgency to get anything. So like, why all of a sudden now am I supposed to be like, okay, this is the line I draw? Tatiana says,
Yeah.
That's not true. If they valued your time from the beginning, they would. But most of these girls that we're meeting, they just look at us like an opportunity. So like, for them, it's not really an opportunity lost. It's kind of like job hunting.
Yeah.
It's like, damn it, I didn't go to this interview, but fuck, I may not have got the job anyway, so I'm just gonna get for another interview. Like, that's the thing I can't, like, so like, this is going on 5 years for me now, right? You guys that have been following the channel, you guys have seen me in my lavish apartments here, and you see me now in my studio with the view is still killer, people. But the reality is like, dude, I can date. If I walk out of my apartment, there's somebody that wants to fuck. 100%. I'm not talking about someone I have to pay to fuck. I'm talking about a chocolate man from the United States that speaks Spanish that looks like this and that lives right here down the street from me. I mean, these women, you said this. I'm just going to throw this out there. This man yesterday told me that a girl he went on a date with knew me with my dog. I still don't know who he's talking about. And my point in saying that is like, as a foreigner here, especially in this part of Medellin, I'm in the northern part. So like, there are not foreigners here, which is one of the reasons I had to help brother out with the coffee, right? So like, all of that said, I feel like they just look at us like an opportunity and it's like, oh, move to the next one. And most of us are only here temporarily. You were here for 2 months, so that's a long period of time. But, most people are in a week. I mean, the reality is they may not be able to see us anywhere.
Hey, yeah.
So so now in saying that, I am trying to go through like the Neo's Poly aspect of things as I would in the US, so that I'm recognizing and understanding like, yo, this is an opportunity with me.
All right.
Like a legitimate opportunity. And if you're not taking it serious, kick rocks.
Right.
So like, has that changed my decision on whether or not I want to let this girl back in? No, I'm still very much conflicted. And that is the problem. And she's probably like an 8 on the 1 to 10 scale. But her energy makes her like a 12. So like, I don't know. Like that's the issue, right? But then you got Joa. I can say her name because she is in Neo's Poly. Joa is like a 15 without the energy. And then with the energy, I can't even understand it. Sometimes I look at this woman and I'm just like, how did I get this lucky? I mean that. So like, understanding that she's also Colombian. She's a fucking civil engineer, right? Like, it's just a whole different level of category of woman.
Yeah.
And so like, I don't know. You have to ask yourself, well, is she a unicorn? And if she is a unicorn, how am I supposed to have another woman at my side with the unicorn? I don't know. But that's another problem for another episode. So you're going through all this with wood.
Yeah.
If you don't mind sharing, have you dated while you were here?
Yeah.
How's it been?
Whoa.
Do you want more weed?
Yeah.
They're going to help you talk. It's out.
Yeah. You know what? I think the one thing I notice about dating here is the language is a little bit more important. than I previously thought. But it's not really so much the language.
Are you saying that you didn't think language was important in dating in America?
No, no. What I'm saying is like I'm really good at navigating the translator, and I'm learning Spanish,
Oh, okay.
so I can communicate pretty decently. But what I would say is, you want to date a girl, especially if you're learning a language that you're new. You want to date a girl who is committed and have the patience to be a part of that.
Oh, that's a good point.
Because, and you, I think it was you who recommended like dating a girl who knows English.
Oh, for sure.
Which to me at first I'm like, oh, I would rather her only knows. But it makes sense because, again, given the girl's effort, but at the same time, this is a tale too, because you can see why she's there. A girl that's lazy about like trying to communicate with you is not interested in you.
No, it's not 100%.
But at the same time, it is it is something that you need to consider about her experience or whatever. But I would say dating here, what I love about it is it feels like it's hard to get them to actually be consistent to meet up. But when you do meet up with them, like you could get very intimate and connect with them really fast.
But do you think it's real? Because of the fact that it's really fast. Like, oh man. So like you're bringing up a lot of things that stir up.
Now I'm not talking about sleeping.
No. I'm just talking about like general things. So like I dated a Colombian who lived in America for years. She had her child in America. I mean, like she's my girlfriend. And so like I speak 4 languages. I am someone that loves to learn languages. The reason being is that in the form of communicating, no matter what your primary language is, if you learn another language, it only allows you to, at more in depth, use the language that your primary language is, because you think of other ways to explain yourself every single time. So I love learning languages. That said, this woman, my girlfriend, lived in America. She told me she was fluent in English. Now, I've heard her say a few English words, but not one time did we ever have a conversation in English. I'm talking arguments. Not one time did we ever talk in English. So I have to ask myself, was that true? Did you actually know English? And then if you did you never value enough sharing the way you felt or trying to make me feel a certain type of way that you wanted to say it in English? Because English is my primary fucking language. So if you want to connect with me, even if it's something simple like a good night or a good morning or a how are you, I value that because I'm fluent in Spanish, but it's nice to hear English sometimes, especially from someone I'm interested in, because that's you showing me effort. And so like, I'm 100% on that because it drives me fucking nuts because I'm like, you're just taking advantage of the fact that I can speak to 100% of your language, but your language doesn't have words to express what it is I don't want to say to you right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the one thing that's true. That's the one thing that has me conflicted with the girl from Cartagena because she visits me. And I noticed it was like, this girl just casually speaks to me in Spanish and I never speak to her in English because my mindset is like, if I speak to you in English, you're not going to understand. So it's like, why are you casually talking to me in Spanish? Now, what I will say is I have a spirit of curiosity and I want to know the language. So it could be a matter of her saying, let me speak to him casually so he can pick it up. But
if you're not going to tell me what the fuck it means in my language, how is it I'm paying
anything? Exactly. And so, but at the same time, this morning, she writes me in English, and she does that from time to time. Like when she really wants to express herself.
Why is this the ever thing though? Because it takes 30 seconds to just paste it into translator.
It could be the fact because I feel like I make them comfortable because I'm like, give me all the Spanish. I want to learn. The more I see, the better. So it could be that. A lot of times, and I think about this like when I see you with Logan. When I saw you with Logan last night, is like, enjoy her. Like it feels like her mind is blown to see Logan react to you in the way that he does it. Like
Jolene,
yeah.
We're talking. Jolene is a friend of mine. She's one of my best friends here. Not Joe, but guys.
Jolene. She's like, wow, like she's like, Logan, be free. But it's like, no, like you teach people how to treat you the same way you. It's not so you didn't say that's so. It's 100%. And I was telling you this earlier. Like I'm always thinking about like, yo, what the fuck did I do in this position, right? And so when I think about her not using it all the time, I think it's because I create that environment to do so. But also, we both use ChatGPT. to translate when we're writing, just because it's a more efficient translator. So that is one thing that's cool, because like Google Translate or the apps, you can really like miss a lot of context when you're writing people using those and you're translating. But with ChatGPT, it comes to clear. So like when she writes me in English,
I use ChatGPT every single day, and I've never used it for language.
right, only with you're bilingual.
But quattro. But I've never even thought about that. Deep L uses artificial intelligence, so I'd be interested to see how Deep L translator their ChatGPT work. Just to see a comparison, because they do use AI within their translating. But no, 100% the context. So like, I will write things in the other language and translate it to see how it would come off in English.
Right.
But one of the challenges I think I will always have is that I think in English.
Yeah.
And I think in English because it's the most expressive language of all the languages. Yep.
English is the philosophy.
Yeah, so like technically it would be Greek, right? And I don't know Latin. So the depth at which those may be able to explain more, I don't know. But for English right now, the context of what we're speaking, English is the most expressive.
Right.
And so to try to express how I feel to a woman here in Spanish, it doesn't have the same depth. And it's funny because now that I say that, I thought about my ex I dated. I used to tell her, I was like, listen, I don't want to fight with you, so we're only going to talk in Spanish. Right. Because there's less things to be said.
Yeah. Right. True. And for those of you who don't understand what he means by saying, you can only express yourself so much, this may open a window to like having an understanding of how context works with language. So here, it's very common for someone to say, like, I'm about to say, hey, good morning, how are you doing? It's very common for them to say, bien, gracias a Dios. Right? So, and what that is thanks to God, right? I'm fine, thanks to God. In English, if I text you and I say good morning and you say, I'm doing good, thank God, the first thing you're gonna ask is like, yo, what happened? Because we don't, it's just not how the context is different. One is like showing appreciation in response to my good morning. The other is, it makes me feel like you've been through something and you're doing okay now. So now I need to know what that something is that you've been through. So like the context and language could be dramatically different, although you're saying the words that mean something, like thanks to God.
Now, full speed ahead, the culture here is that everyone is suffering. And so they really do feel like, oh my God, thank God, he saved me and I'm here right now. So like, it just depends. It depends on how you look at it. For me, on both sides of it, I'm just kind of like, it's true, but it's also like, I like, ¿cómo estás? Everyone says it, right? Everyone fucking says it, but nobody really answers it. So like, when I ask somebody, and I do this shit all the time, and I'm like, ¿cómo estás? And they'll be like, bien, and they continue, and they say, bien, gracias a Dios. And I'm like, espérate, mírame, cuéntame la verdad. ¿Cómo estás? So it's like, tell me the truth. Like, how are you? Because like most of the time people are just like, I'm good, thanks to God. I'm like,
yeah,
that doesn't mean shit. You didn't say shit. Like, I'm looking at you. You don't look good right now. You look stressed the fuck out. I see you every day. Like, how are you? Oh, my son is in the hospital because he wrecked his motorcycle last night in the rain. And I'm like, okay. Like, now I know how you are. But like, and I feel like in the States, it's like that too. You'd be like, yo, what's good? And you're like, oh yeah, nothing, everything, whatever.
It could be my environment, but I'm starting to feel like in my daily life, it could be a measure of like working from home too in the States, because you're not going to the office. But it's starting to feel like in the States, you're speaking to each other less. And so, 100%, right. And so being here, it does become a routine in English and in Spanish, but you start to understand the purpose of it. The purpose is to acknowledge the fact that you're in the proximity of another human being, and it can also
Conversation or asking how someone is.
I think acknowledgement. Like if we get on the elevator, it's gonna be buenos dias. And if you say como estás, yeah, people are being like casual with it, but there's still the element of acknowledging the fact that you're next to human being. And the only reason why I understand it from that perspective is because in the U.S., at least like in my apartment building, I'm getting on the elevator and we're not speaking to each other. Like we're just in the elevator and then we get off the elevator. And after a while, you start to realize like is do you really want to be in a space in people's proximity and never acknowledge the fact that you have another life force next to you? Oh, so one feels robotic, and I was even on the elevator here with a girl, and I'm still doing my American thing. Like everyone's getting off and on the elevator saying, good morning, see you later," and I'm not saying nothing. She's like jabbing me on the shoulder. She's like, "Speak." She's like, and she's telling me, "Buenos dias."
I mean, listen.
I'm just thinking.
I wish you would tap me on the shoulder and tell me say something. I'd be like, "What in the hell is your shit?"
But it's still a reflection of the culture. Like,
No, I mean, I get that. I just, for me, I don't, because I'm sitting here thinking about myself right now. I really don't like people. I know you guys know this. I don't think that I don't say hello to everyone all the time. Like if you come in the elevator and you seem like a decent human and I feel your energy, I'll say what's up. But there's a guy here specifically. There's a fucking, listen, Mr. Man, I'm talking to you right now. Look, I don't fucking talk to you because I hate your energy. So stop trying to talk to me, okay? I just have to say this. He's one of those dudes that he's always in and out of the apartment with different women. I don't know what ages they are, and he's disrespectful. Like, if that's what you want to do that. But like, be fucking respectful, man. Cause like that. All of that said, I don't like your energy, so don't fucking talk to me. And Logan doesn't like his energy, and I follow Logan 100% of the time. Okay, so I digress. Yeah, My point in saying all that is sometimes like in the elevator, I don't want to talk to anybody. But I think for me, it's more of a confined space where now I have to personally share my space with you. And you're like all up in my area. So I don't know. But, I mean, but I like if someone says hasta luego, I'll say hasta luego. But I don't know if I initiate that.
yeah,
And she's hot. I mean, if it's a hot female, I always do. Let's just be honest.
there you go. But you're acknowledging and so that goes to.
My fault.
And again, when we talk about, is your audience American? I would assume.
The audience is from all over the world.
Yeah. So
That's why I have Rock Canada. Right. When I'll be on the mic international.
Yeah.
I'll be international. You know, when I be. Yeah.
I feel like
Shout out to Rock.
in America we have a lot of. There's a divide in America. So when you get to a place to where you see people in the elevator and you're like, y'all are not speaking, it kind of makes you go into a narrative that is very particular to the stuff that we're dealing with in America. So for me, it's like, damn, like we don't even speak to each other anymore. We don't even talk anymore. But being here, it's obviously there's going to be different challenges to it. But I think coming from an American perspective, it's damn, like society is getting really robotic. Women are scared of men because of like media coverage. Like in America, we highlight, like we take like a small percentage of fat and we project it so much because negativity sells. So we're like, your average woman is sincerely concerned with her safety if you approach her and say hello. Because they believe that men are bad, and that's very particular to.
I mean, I feel like I worry for my safety and anyone says hello to me because I don't feel like I'm an approachable person. So I always question why the fuck are you talking to me in the first place? Because I feel like there's got to be some kind of negative reason or something I need to look out for now.
And some people have that mindset. Like I heard they were talking about dating, but
I 100% feel that way. If you approach me and I don't know you for any reason and you want to initiate a conversation, looking at me, I'm like, what is wrong with me? What do I need to look out for? Because I don't look like, I don't feel like, you guys, comment below. Do I look like someone that if you saw me in the street and you didn't know any of it, like you would want to talk to me, you'd be like, this is a guy that's approachable.
You look scary as fuck, Louis Bag.
I don't fucking look like I want to know fucking body. So like I don't
In the videos at the cafe with Logan. So not only do you have like this guy that's fit in shape, he has dark shades on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where are my glasses?
And he's with Logan. Like it's surreal. I mean, I see Logan now, but it's like different when you see him for the first time. So I'm sitting there, my fucking lying in there, serious as shit. Or whatever. I'm like, yo, like this guy looks like he's about to fuck somebody up. So I get that.
I don't understand why anybody wants to talk to me. Do you want to talk to me? I don't know.
Well, if people knew you, they definitely would want to talk to you. You have a lot of interesting stuff to say.
No, I think, listen, if you know me, you're listening to me, like, I'd want to talk to me too. You can, listen, connect on the link below. hourly rates. You could book it for as cheap as $50. But my point is, I really just I don't understand that. But to your point, I also think that here they have the same culture. It's just with different things. So like here in the elevator, 100%, someone's gonna say hello, goodbye, blah blah blah. But if I'm in the grocery store with my speaker, listening to my music, dancing, and having a great, they look at me like, why the fuck are you so happy?
Yeah.
100% of the time. And so it's like, so it's okay to act like I'm happy in the elevator in the morning to tell you good morning, I'm going to see you, Rhea. But I'm in the grocery store at 4 o'clock and because you had a long day, I can't be happy. That doesn't make any sense. Listen to the music and move. Like, seriously. And it's so funny because one of the girls that works at Diuno, like the very first time, she looked at me like, this rude foreigner's in here thinking he can listen to his music. And so the next day I came in and had my headphones on. I'm still bopping around. And she looks at me now like he's having a silent disco. And so like the third time I came back with my speaker and she's like, why are you always in hearing music? I was like, there's 3 things I need in my life: coffee, weed, and music. And I'm not going to give up any of those 3 things for anybody because life's too short. And I don't leave the house without being high and having caffeine. So my music comes with me. It just is what it is. And after that, she just was like, okay. And now if I go into the store without my speaker, she asked me to go home and get it. No joke. So like, I think it's one of those, like, it's just disrupting the pattern of what people are comfortable with. Yeah, they're comfortable with you saying good morning, hello, goodbye, blah, 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 if I'm in the elevator. But that same woman in the elevator would be okay with it, but if we said it to her on the corner in Poblado and you said that, she'd automatically think you thought she was a hooker or something.
Yeah. If there's one thing I've learned about humans in general, and I don't care where you are in the world, if you're human, this applies. Just like you take a shake, humans, people they don't like the disruption of harmony.
Yeah, whatever the harmony is.
Yeah. We see it like that's why people don't like immigration, because it's disrupting the harmony. Like they'll take it in small doses. Like even here, and look at how people feel about El Poblado. They hate El Poblado because it appears to tourists, never mind that it employs a lot of people, but they hate it because it's not what they're used to. It breaks the harmony. So I think but that's kind of...
For all the Black Colombian followers and listeners, I would say that it's not for that reason. I recognize that it's more for, the sexual exploitation that happens in Poblado and the reasoning that the money is there for that reason. But for those of you that are Colombian listening to upset with that, this is your country. Change it. Like, you can change the dialogue of the sex work here. This doesn't need to be one of the smallest countries that has one of the highest per capita of women webcam models in all of the countries in the world. Like, that is your culture. This is your country. Change the dialect. Okay? Create better jobs, create better opportunities, pay at a better rate and wage. Like, that's absolutely something within your control and power. That's all I say about that.
Yeah, and when I think about it, I think it is important to address that there has been serious issues here that gives people cause to pause. But the base layer of things is that's a part of the story, is what I say, in terms of the tourist attraction, it not really being fun. The prostitution is a really big factor, but I also think a part of the story is the tourism too, which they're not hostile towards it, but it doesn't feel like Colombia is what I've heard from a lot of locals. It doesn't feel like, oh no, you should blow. Yeah. What you're saying is valid, though. I would say maybe my point is actually probably like a little note at the bottom of the page.
No, there's really outlet. I'm just like, but even, like you're saying it doesn't feel like Medellin. I'm like, I feel that. But like coming from New York, being in New York City and being in Manhattan does not feel like Brooklyn. That doesn't feel like fucking Brooklyn. Like, it's fucking New York City. There's more tourists here than New York. Yeah, so you're right. Like, that's just the truth.
Brooklyn is amazing.
Right, but like, you're not gonna feel like Brooklyn or like you're in Queens or like you're in Staten Island. When you're in fucking Manhattan, you're in Manhattan. So like when you're in Poblado, you're in Poblado. You want to feel the barrio, go to the barrio because it's different.
Yeah.
And I guess, I grew up in New York and then I spent my majority of the beginning of my adulthood in Florida.
Right.
So like Orlando and Daytona, like it's all tourists. So that aspect of my mindset, I guess, is just, it is what it is and there's going to be those things. So either embrace it and grow and make the money or don't, but you can't change it. It's movement. So yeah. What would you say for someone that has never been to Colombia They're like yourself.
No.
Single black man wanting to travel. And I'm loading this up because I know how he's going to respond to this question. I would not generally just say this, but I want you to answer the question as a single black man, and then if you were a single majority male.
Whoa, if I was a single. Okay, you know what? As a single black male, and this question is coming from the standpoint of someone who is like, I want to do it. I've never done it before. I would say, do your research. In terms of like, give it proper respect to have an understanding that you're coming into a different environment. But I think we live in an amazing world because you can learn the basics, long terms of, because what do you really want to do? If you want to come to Colombia, you want to have a good time. You don't want to be robbed. You want to be safe. And like, those are going to be like the top 3 things, right? And so
You want to make it home.
right. And so what I would say is like, do your basic borderline research. But the cool thing is like, if you're coming here, you're going to meet Americans. And
Don't fucking talk to me. No.
that's true. But what I will say is you'll meet Americans and you'll also meet people who have experience. And when you meet those people, be open to what they have to say. Test everything. I'm not one to say don't use your own human curiosity or like creativity. I'm not saying that, but what I will say is listen. Because you're wide-eyed blue, but at the same time, like when you're here, you're a target. When they see us, they see money, and you start to realize, like, damn, if I'm rich in the States, I can understand how I would be more paranoid. If I'm rich and people know I'm rich in the States, I can understand the paranoid because you never know who's talking to you, just genuine, or who's talking to you because they see you as a mark.
Especially when you don't know the language.
Yeah.
That's just how I said. I mean, and everybody's here is nice.
Yeah, the second thing I will say is don't take anything home with you. When you come out here, especially depending on what your jive is in America with women, like if you're getting girls in America, I think you'll be okay. But even then, when you come out here, the way the girls interact with you, especially the workers, the ones that want something from you, you're going to feel, you're going to enjoy feeling like that. But you have to understand that it's fake. And I know that can take the excitement out of it, right? And even if you want to, like some days, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to go with the flow. I'm going to enjoy this experience. But when I wake up in the morning, I know what's up. And I think like that's the biggest thing is just be prepared to like really feel masculine because the women here will make you feel masculine, but know that
Right up until they kill you. Click the link after the description. Then get on the phone with me. Just do that. Listen.
Yeah.
It's $50 per half hour. You know why? Because for $50,
and it's worth it.
I will absolutely 100% save you that and more. And then you don't have to worry about not knowing because literally it's 30 minutes and I made it that way just for this reason.
That is true. I met a guy. I endorse that because I don't know. I think I don't want to take it for granted, but I really think God's watching me. But I met a guy recently because every now and then when I'm here for a while, I like to hang out with the Americans that's visiting. But this guy and his friend, they come in the first night, they get drugged and robbed.
First night.
And in my mind, when he's telling me the story, and this is why I say I'd endorse him because I'm talking to you all like you're me. Like I'm gonna like super freak out over my safety, but not everyone's like that. So when I think about it, when he's talking to me about this, in my mind, I'm like, this is my worst night now. I would never want that to happen to you. But I realize like not everyone thinks about that, and I think it will be wise to get the information directly from a source who knows rather than come out here.
I mean, listen, my biggest thing is, and this has nothing to do with Medellin, right? Like, I live here.
Yeah, but it's like,
I've been traveling outside of the country since I was 13. I've been to more than 72 countries. If you have not left your country, and I don't give a fuck what country it is, you should get on the phone with me so we could talk because there are definitely different things about traveling internationally, especially in 2024, that you should be aware of. And $50 is nothing, and I promise you it will be worth that.
yeah.
Plus I'd like to talk to you, know where you're going next, and maybe we'll link up somewhere. But all right, so if you're now a majority person and you have one thing to tell them, what is that?
Oh, if I'm a majority, when you say majority, like if I'm a white guy or
Just majority. I mean, I guess it depends on where you're at, but
like a Hispanic person from Mexico to Columbus.
I feel like this is international, right? So we can't say white guy because, like, if you were here, Spanish would technically be the majority,
Right.
right? So, like, I don't know, if you were going to another place, not sticking out, right? Like here, we're obvious foreigners.
Right.
So let's say you were Colombian American coming to Colombia. You're not going to stick out at all, right? But you're here. Would you give them a different perspective or advice into how to embrace or, experience the culture?
Yeah. I would say in any context, I think having a genuine interest of understanding where you are is key. And I think what I've noticed just trying to learn Spanish, speaking with people here, they'll really open up to you when they see like you're genuinely curious about the place. But if I was a majority, I would say that like really be able to have a genuine interest in understanding the culture. And when I say that, I'm not saying go see the popular destinations. Like no, like talk to people when you're in a Uber. Talk to the driver, even if your language is whack. Like plug your translator, communicate with them, because you're gonna find out so much information when you do that. You embrace people. That's what I would say. Because I'm assuming we're talking to someone who
That would just blend in, probably. Would just blend in which case.
Okay, so we're talking about my traveling people that goes places. Yeah, like you guys get it. Eat the food. Find out like what's the history behind that food. Like you can Google some of that stuff. Like when you see certain things, like question it. Like always question things and always try to have a spirit of learning. That's what I would say. Have a spirit of learning, because if you learn about the bandeja paisa, am I saying it right?
No, but that's what
Paisa? Yes,
it's paisa.
paisa.
Bandeja paisa. Bandeja paisa.
But learning about like that, it teaches you a lot about the culture here too, and you get to learn it from a food perspective. So asking that, if you're trying to learn language, talk to people.
Yeah, listen, people talk. If you're trying to learn a language, shout out to my best friend Karen.
Yeah.
I don't know how many days of Duolingo, Karen, but congratulations, continue going. But you gotta talk. We can't just stay in the app.
Yeah, and it's okay to not understand everything that they're saying. Like, don't worry about understanding. What I'm trying to do now is, can I comprehend? Do I hear words? Or is it just a string of things? And being here long enough, you get to a point to where you'll catch yourself having a full conversation. Maybe your words just sounded like a 3, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, but you're talking to the people and you don't need to think about that.
And I will say, it's just to add on, if you find someone that you're comfortable talking to, talk more to that person. Don't think that you will learn best by talking to a bunch of different people. Because the same way, if you're in the United States, someone from Kentucky has a very different accent than someone from Seattle, Washington. That makes it difficult to understand. Mississippi, you know what I'm saying? Like, so here it's the same. So you don't want to start having a conversation and then like spread it all out, because you'll start misunderstanding words and it's the same word because they have a different accent with it. So that's real.
And that's one thing I've been thinking about in terms of dating here and trying to learn a language. There's definitely girls who I can understand when they speak, and there's girls who I can't. And I'm starting to be like, you know what? If I can't understand Spanish like right now, I need to be able to talk to someone to where like they speak and I can understand it. Some girls, and I'm saying women, but it goes for men too.
It goes for like
Some people, you can hear their language, that you hear more than what you would from others, and so that becomes a big thing too to kind of think about. It
same thing with typing. If you have a girl that's texting you, like, and I'm guilty of this. Like, I've learned to text because I've been here for so long. So I'll use Q for K, or I want to say porque, I'll use an X and a Q. That's porque, right? Now that's not really porque, and if you're trying to translate that, you're like, what the hell is this? So you might want to like tell them, hey, I'm trying to learn the language. Can you please use your full words? And I mean, seriously, you might have to do that. But I don't know. I guess the last thing I'll say on this is culture and history. You can very much learn a culture without knowing the history. You can learn the culture just by immersing yourself in the culture. History, you can learn the history and never understand the culture behind the history. But the beauty is in taking the time to understand both. Because the culture is developed over the history of time, of the things that have evolved that created this. So you can't learn a culture and a history if you're not willing to learn the language. So if you are traveling to a destination and it is not a language that you speak primarily, take some time to learn the language. You do not have to be fluent in the language, but take some time to learn it. You should be able to say hello, goodbye, how are you? I need help. You know, basic things. No matter what country we're going to. I mean that.
Ayúdame.
I don't want this to be forever. This is gonna be, let's see how long. Yeah, we're definitely at the time. We're like 46 minutes into this. I always appreciate you guys listening to me ramble. Neo's Poly, of all the things I've ever done in my life, is the largest reflection and impact I want to have on the world. So you want to watch those videos. I can't stress that enough. That's it. Love, peace, and hair grease. Links in the description for everything that you need, anything that you don't need, and anything I recommend. Anything that you'd like them to know. His links for his social medias and all that stuff will be in the links as well. So follow Jesman and his other travels. I'm trying to get him to stay out of the U.S.
Yes. Jez Jamal on all handles. So yeah, it's good conversation.
All right. I'm out. Love, peace, and hair grease. I guess I need to add a fact in right now.
People, this is your fact. I'm sorry, I hit record on that podcast and totally forgot. I think it was because I had a guest, and I was like, oh my goodness, a guest. But they're factoid. So in 2023, Colombia saw one of the highest ratings for tourism, even pre-pandemic, of almost 6 million tourists that are non-resident Colombians here in the country. That's the fact. That's it. I was originally looking for how many people come to Colombia and cannot speak Spanish, and I could not find that fact anywhere. And so there you go. 6 million people was actually 5,863,000 and change. But that is a lot of people in this small country. I would definitely recommend you check it out. It is increasingly evolving in terms of tourism and how much it's relying on it. But yeah, obviously I'm here. I love it. So you should check it out. Watch my videos, click the links, do all those things. If you're looking to connect with me, Jesman, or anyone else I ever have, always check the links in the description for all those things. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. Peace.